But what are the processes of container ports like this? How are containers unloaded? Where do they go? And what happens next? We're going to find out if containerization is as orderly as it seems, or if there is some chaos in these neatly stacked rows, and what opportunity and challenges automation has brought to the shipping industry.
Oh hi, welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's episode, we're going to talk about something that it seems like was not part of the media agenda, but is actually super important in our lives. A port strike in the United States of America. If you don't live in the United States and you believe this doesn't affect you, you should sweet summer child. I had to teach you a lot of things. And of course, I'm going to tell you some important insights regarding this complex topic and try my best to make it as easy as possible. So without further ado, buckle up.
Switching modes of transport is not quite as simple as loading a cargo container from a ship onto a truck. Multiple steps and organisational challenges are involved before the container rolls out of the freight yard. First, the container must be unloaded from the ship. This is achieved with huge gantry cranes that are able to lift the several tons of container and its cargo. Cranes can be hinged to allow for passage of large ships beneath, or can be fixed to reduce airspace being taken up. Cranes connect to containers by their corner fittings, which, like most other parts of a container, are standardized throughout the world by the International Organization for Standardization. Another international standard is the unique identifier number, which helps to keep track of each container. The containers are typically loaded onto terminal tractors. These funny-looking trucks are meant for short-distance haulage in order to get the container from beside the ship into the storage yard, where the containers wait to be picked up by a truck or a train. In order to move containers around a storage yard and onto trucks and trains, there are several options for machinery. Two of the most interesting are reach stackers and rubber tire gantries.
So, you might be wondering, but what does it have to do with anything? This is Life Reacted of Dangerous Avatar. Don't worry, I'll explain it. Let me tell you something that I didn't see in the mainstream media, as we say in the intro, but it's really important. There was a threat of a huge strike in one of the major ports in the United States. And a strike means that workers are not willing to work anymore for the employer until the employer accepts their demands, such as working conditions or, like in this case, unfair payment. They were not getting paid enough. Why is that? Because in the COVID-19 era, when we were literally locking ourselves in our homes, they were working. They put their life at risk by commuting to those remote areas. Ports are usually far away from the cities. I have no idea if you guys believe or not in COVID-19. If you don't, you're probably gonna hate me. But the reality is that a lot of people died. Millions of humans around the world. It was one of the worst pandemics in the history of humanity. These pandemics created a huge increase in online purchase because we were at home with our laptops ordering useless stuff from Amazon. Not everything that we order online is made in our countries. And it's not like we have the factory like 4 hours ago, and then when we order something, they just send it straight to our homes. Probably more than 90% of the time, the products are shipped on vessels with thousands of containers. Due to that increase in demand, this specific port company grew more than 8%. And guess what? They didn't increase the salary of the workers. You know, the people that are actually working and doing the job. They just increased the salary of the high-ranking executives. As always, the shareholders receive record dividends as well. To make it even more clear, just the top dogs in the hierarchy receive millionaire bonuses for doing shift. In the meantime, the workers that were putting their life at risk received nothing. They just want a little bit more. They tried to speak with the owners to the union representatives, but the employer refused to talk, as usual. Now, let me tell you why this is so important. Because if nobody is working in the ports, you won't get your Amazon order. And not just that, you might not be able to even buy food in a grocery shop in some cases. Or even worse, you won't have gas to hit your non-existent food. That is the reason the current president of the United States, Mr. Joe, I don't know what I'm doing, Biden, had to intervene by putting some pressure on the port company in order to get into a deal as soon as possible.
Every step of the process described so far has the capacity to be fully or semi-automated. And in fact, at some of the terminals at the port of Rotterdam in the Netherlands, they all are, at least partially. At this port, a crane operator remotely operates the gantry crane via computer software that unloads containers from a ship. The container is loaded onto a fully automated terminal truck, which drives it to the storage area to be unloaded by an automated stacker crane. This is one area where logical planning augmented by computers can provide a huge benefit. Knowing exactly what date and time a container needs to be picked up, a computer can plan the most efficient way to stack containers. This ensures the container isn't buried too deep in the stacks when it comes time to leave the yard, reducing the number of operations required to access the required container. There are still some storage yards around the world that use a paper-based tracking system.
Wow. So that literally is telling us that there are some countries that don't have the technology to be more efficient in their way of storing their containers. You might be wondering, but I don't give a damn about that. But you should. Remember, we live in a world that is literally connected with everybody. So whatever happens in other parts of the world affects us till a degree. It could be either indirect or direct. So stop being selfish and think about thinking and be mindful about other people. And why this is important? Well, it might make companies' owners actually want the most efficient ways to do things, and they want to compensate properly their workers. Well, as we saw in the previous segment, that is not true.
You serious?
Well, let's imagine. Therefore, they create better ways to do things. In this case, transition from paper to computers. And they use AI in order to optimize and find the best way to sort containers out in the port. This series of steps reduced the cost of handling the products. Therefore, our product is cheaper. Therefore, deflation was created. If that actually happens more often, eventually everything is going to be cheaper for us, so we can actually afford food. There is something called supply chain management. This fancy name is supposed to help to control all activities regarding our products, which if it starts from the materials received by the company to create our products until we receive it at our homes. It takes a lot of micro steps and a lot of third parties involved. That's why it is so important to innovate and look for the most efficient ways to do things. And just like a side note, if you're really curious about the costs involved in the CSM process, this is the shortening for supply chain management, there's something called Incoterms. Those terms were created to simplify the communication between the buyers and the sellers regarding specific terms, such as who is going to pay for what, who is going to have the risk and when, and the previous are super important in the international trade and the court of law.
Computerized automation provides some unique benefits over human operation, such as accuracy of repetitive tasks and logical planning of efficient processes, until something goes wrong and many hours are spent trying to troubleshoot and fix the issue. For now at least, humans maintain the advantage of adaptability over fully automated machines. Automating a container port is very expensive, but ports implementing this technology hope to gain benefits such as increased productivity and increased safety. Of course, even at ports where automation exists, humans are still employed to oversee and maintain the machines and rectify problems as they arise. As automation continues, concerns about job losses are always on the forefront of debate. There is also the real cost to society, with a smaller income tax revenue stream to fund things like roads and rail, the very things the transport industry relies on. Ideas have been put forward for a robot tax to help subsidise this loss.
The previous examples were ways to tackle the possible side effect of technology, the destructions of jobs. Especially nowadays that everyone is scared of AI because it is getting so powerful and it's kind of scary though. The answer is simple. It is bad for the economy, but great for the top 1% because there is something called unemployment. And guess what? Unemployment and economic growth are inversely correlated. What do I mean with this? Let me tell you. When the economy of a country is doing well, the unemployment rate goes down. When unemployment rate goes up, the economy shrinks. Why? It's simple. It is a domino effect. If you don't have a job, you cannot buy things. If you don't buy things, companies don't sell their products. If the companies don't sell their products, they don't make profit. And if the companies do not make profit, the companies fire people because they cannot afford to pay them, according to them, of course, because this is a lie. If there are less people without money to buy things, the economy goes down. You know, everything is connected, especially in the US thing. The GDP is approximately 70% of consumer spending. That's why it is super important to choose our employees, aka public servant, wisely, in order to protect us from the stupidity of the business owners who prefer to fire 10,000 employees to hire a robot and cut expenses to make himself or herself richer, or just make the highest executives and shareholders richer as well, like in the port case, believing they can get away with that.
It's clear for now that the inevitable march of the machines will continue. Perhaps the solution lies balanced somewhere in the middle, with human operators and overseers able to quickly adapt to unforeseen problems, but with machines performing dangerous tasks for us, and with organizational systems augmented by computerized calculations.
Thank you so much for staying at the end of the video. Please let me know what you think in the comment section below about these ethical and moral questions. Are you team, I just want to make as much amount of profit as I can regarding who I screw up in the process? Or are you team more conscious about the influence of your decisions in other people's lives and making decisions based on the well-being of the majority? See you next time. Bye!